The Hollow Signal. Hey everyone, it's me, Montu. And today I've got a story that's going to stick with you long after you hear it. This one's about four friends, a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and a strange signal that turned their weekend into a fight for survival. It's the kind of story that starts off fun, maybe even a little nostalgic. But then, things go wrong. And when they do, they spiral fast. So grab a blanket, turn down the lights, and let's dive into this nightmare. Here we go. It was the summer of 2023, and life in Seattle was wearing down four friends who'd known each other since college. Jake Thompson, 28, was a graphic designer with a restless energy and a habit of planning epic group trips. He was the guy who always had a plan, even if it didn't always pan out. His girlfriend, Mia Alvarez, 27, was a nurse who thrived on adrenaline, but drew the line at anything too spooky. She'd rather hike a mountain than watch a horror movie. Ethan Chen, 26, was the group's tech geek, always tinkering with gadgets or scrolling through obscure forums about radio signals and conspiracy theories. And then there was Sarah Rivera, Ethan's cousin, 25, a quiet writer who saw stories in everything, her notebook always close at hand. The group had been drifting apart lately, work, relationships, life, but Jake was determined to bring them back together. He'd found the perfect spot on a rental site, a cabin called Rustic Retreat, deep in Washington's Olympic National Forest, about 3 hours from Seattle. No Wi-Fi, no cell service, just pine trees, a fire pit, and a small lake nearby. The photos showed a cozy log cabin with a wraparound porch surrounded by towering evergreens. It looked like something out of a postcard. The price was dirt cheap, $50 a night, which raised Mia's eyebrows. "That's too good to be true," she said, scrolling through the listing. Jake shrugged. "It's probably just off-season. We're getting a steal." Ethan wasn't thrilled about going offline. He lived for his tech. But he packed his portable radio scanner, a bulky device he'd bought at a surplus store. "You never know," he said with a grin. "Maybe I'll pick up some alien signals." Sarah, meanwhile, stared at the cabin's photo, her fingers tracing the screen. "It feels old," she murmured. Jake laughed. "It's a cabin, Sarah. It's supposed to be rustic." They set out on a Friday afternoon in Jake's beat-up SUV, the back packed with coolers, sleeping bags, and a guitar for campfire sing-alongs. The drive was filled with laughter, bad playlists, and Mia teasing Ethan about his scanner. "You're going to scare us with static, aren't you?" she said. Ethan smirked. "If I pick up a ghost, you'll thank me." Sarah stayed quiet, watching the city give way to endless forest, her notebook open but untouched. By the time they reached the forest, the sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the sky blood red. The GPS cut out a mile from the cabin, forcing Jake to follow handwritten directions from the rental owner. "Turn left at the crooked oak, then straight until you see the red mailbox." The dirt road was narrow, branches scraping the SUV's sides. Mia gripped Jake's arm. "This is creepy," she whispered. He patted her hand. "It's just the woods, babe. Relax." When they pulled up to the cabin, it was exactly like the pictures. Charming, isolated, with a faint smell of pine and damp earth. But as they stepped out, a strange feeling settled over them. The air was heavy, like a storm was brewing, but the sky was clear. The forest was silent. No birds, no rustling leaves, just an oppressive stillness. Sarah shivered, pulling her jacket tighter. Ethan glanced at his phone, frowning. No signal, not even a bar. Jake clapped his hands. "That's the point, guys. Unplug. Let's make this weekend epic." They unpacked, started a fire in the pit outside, and cracked open a case of beers. For a while it felt like old times, roasting marshmallows, telling dumb stories, Mia leaning against Jake as the fire crackled. But then Ethan pulled out his scanner, its dials glowing faintly in the dark. "Let's see what's out there," he said, half joking. He turned it on, and static hissed through the speaker. Mia groaned. Really, Ethan? You're ruining the vibe. He ignored her, twisting the dial. Then, something came through. A voice, low, guttural, barely audible over the static. Come. Hollow. Wait. The words were fragmented like a bad connection. Ethan froze, his eyes wide. Did you hear that? Sarah leaned closer, her notebook forgotten. What's hollow? Mia hugged her knees. Turn it off, Ethan. That's creepy. Jake, ever the skeptic, laughed. It's probably a park ranger or some old broadcast. Chill. Ethan fiddled with the dial, but the voice was gone, swallowed by static. He kept scanning, determined to find it again, while the others tried to shake off the unease. They went to bed around midnight, the fire reduced to embers. The cabin had 2 bedrooms, so Jake and Mia took one, Ethan and Sarah the other. As they settled in, the forest silence pressed against the walls, thick and unnatural. Mia couldn't sleep. She lay in the creaky double bed staring at the ceiling, the voice from the scanner stuck in her head. Come. Hollow. Wait. It didn't sound like a ranger or a broadcast. It sounded personal. Jake snored softly beside her, oblivious. She tried to focus on the rhythm of his breathing, but the cabin felt too small, the darkness too close. Around 2 a.m., a sound jolted her awake, a faint hum, like a distant engine. It was rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. She nudged Jake. Do you hear that? He groaned, half asleep. It's nothing, Mia. Go back to sleep. But the hum grew louder, pulsing through the walls. She slipped out of bed, grabbing her flashlight, and tiptoed to the living room. The hum was coming from Ethan's scanner, sitting on the coffee table. The device was off, its screen dark, but the sound poured from it, steady and unnatural. Mia's hands trembled as she reached for it. She flicked the power switch, and the hum stopped. Silence. Then the scanner crackled to life, batteries or not, and the voice returned, clearer now. You are here. Hollow. Calls. Mia screamed, dropping the scanner. It hit the floor with a thud, the voice cutting off. Jake burst out of the bedroom, followed by Ethan and Sarah, their faces pale in the flashlight's beam. What's going on? Jake demanded. Mia pointed at the scanner, her voice shaking. It was off, but it spoke. Ethan frowned, picking it up. That's impossible. It needs power. He popped open the battery compartment. The batteries were dead, corroded, like they'd been sitting for years. Sarah's eyes widened. We need to leave, now. Jake shook his head, running a hand through his hair. It's a glitch, okay? We're not driving 3 hours in the dark because of a creepy radio. Mia glared at him. Jake, this isn't normal. Ethan, still holding the scanner, nodded. She's right. Something's off. But Jake's stubbornness won out. We'll check the car and leave at first light. Deal? Reluctantly, they agreed. They piled blankets in the living room, too scared to sleep alone. Mia clutched Jake's hand. Sarah scribbled frantically in her notebook, and Ethan kept the scanner close, its dead batteries a silent accusation. The hum didn't return, but the silence was worse. Thick, alive, like the forest was holding its breath. At dawn, they packed their bags, eager to escape. The forest looked different in the grey morning light. Trees loomed closer, their branches like skeletal fingers. Jake headed to the SUV, keys in hand, but when he turned the ignition, the engine sputtered and died. He cursed, popping the hood. The battery's dead. How is that possible? It was fine yesterday. Ethan checked his phone, hoping for a signal, but it was useless. Mia's was the same. Sarah's eyes darted to the trees. We're too far out. No one's coming. Jake slammed the hood shut. Okay, new plan. We hiked to the main road. It's maybe 10 miles. Mia shook her head. In this forest? Did you see how it looked last night? Sarah nodded. She's right. It's not safe. They decided to stay near the cabin and look for a landline or a neighbor. Ethan, still clutching his scanner, turned it on, using fresh batteries from his bag. Static hissed. Then the voice returned, stronger now, hollow. Below. Come. Mia froze. Below? What's below? Sarah's face paled. There's a basement, isn't there? I saw a trapdoor in the kitchen yesterday. Jake groaned. You're not seriously suggesting we go down there? But curiosity and fear gnawed at them. The trapdoor was hidden under a faded rug, secured with a rusty padlock. Jake pried it open with a crowbar from the SUV, revealing a wooden ladder descending into darkness. A cold, damp smell wafted up, like mold and something metallic, like blood. Ethan shone his flashlight, but the beam didn't reach the bottom. This is a terrible idea, Mia whispered. They climbed down one by one, the ladder creaking under their weight. The basement was massive, far bigger than the cabin above, with stone walls carved with strange symbols, spirals, eyes, jagged lines that seemed to pulse in the flashlight's glow. In the center was a circular stone platform, etched with the word hollow in deep, uneven letters. The air buzzed with the same hum from the scanner, now deafening. Sarah touched the platform, her fingers tracing the word. The hum stopped. Silence. Then, a low growl echoed from the shadows. You came. The voice wasn't from the scanner. It was in the room. A figure emerged, tall, impossibly thin, its skin grey and stretched over jagged bones. Its eyes were empty sockets, but it saw them, its head tilting unnaturally. Mia screamed and they scrambled for the ladder. The creature moved fast, its limbs bending like a spider's. Jake swung the crowbar, but it passed through the thing like smoke. They reached the trap door, slamming it shut, but the creature's claws scraped against the wood, splintering it. Ethan shoved a bookshelf over the trapdoor, but the scraping didn't stop. They barricaded the trapdoor with every piece of furniture they could find, chairs, a table, even the couch. The creature's growls grew louder, its claws tearing at the wood. Ethan's scanner was going wild, spitting out static and that voice. Hollow! Feeds! Sarah, her writer's mind racing, shouted, It's tied to this place! The signal! The symbols! It's some kind of entity! Jake grabbed a gas can from the SUV, his face grim. We burn it down. The cabin, the basement, all of it. Mia nodded, tears streaming down her face. Do it. But as they ran outside, the forest seemed to shift. Trees moved, their trunks bending to block the path. The creature's voice echoed from all directions. Stay. In a panic, they sprinted for the lake, hoping to lose it. The creature pursued, its form flickering like a bad radio signal, appearing and vanishing among the trees. At the lake's edge, Sarah noticed the water was unnaturally still, reflecting the symbols from the basement. It's a portal, she yelled. The hollow. It's not just below, it's here. With no other choice, they waded into the freezing water, the creature howling from the shore. The water was impossibly deep, pulling them under. As they submerged, the world warped. Colors bled, sounds distorted. They emerged in a cave dripping wet, the walls glowing with the same symbols. The scanner, somehow still working, whispered, Free. The cave was vast, its ceiling lost in darkness. The symbols pulsed, guiding them forward. Mia clung to Jake, her teeth chattering. Where are we? Sarah's voice was steady, despite her fear. It's the hollow. The signal wasn't calling us to the cabin. It was calling us here. Ethan shook his head, clutching the scanner. But why? They moved deeper, the air growing colder, the symbols brighter. The creature's voice returned, softer now, almost pleading. Stay. Feed. Sarah stopped, her eyes wide. It's not feeding on us. It's feeding on fear. The signal, it lures people here, traps them. Jake's face hardened. Then we fight it. We get out. They found a stone altar at the cave's center, identical to the basement's platform. The symbols glowed red, the hum deafening. Ethan's scanner sparked, the voice screaming, "Hollow!" Sarah grabbed a rock, smashing the altar. The symbols flickered, the hum faltered. The creature appeared, its form unstable, shrieking as the altar cracked. "Keep going!" Jake yelled. They attacked the altar together, breaking it apart. The creature wailed, its body dissolving into static, like a signal losing strength. The cave shook, rocks falling. A tunnel opened, light spilling through. They ran, the creature's final scream echoing, "Wait!" They stumbled into daylight, collapsing on a grassy hill. The forest was gone, replaced by open fields. A highway stretched in the distance, cars buzzing past. They were 50 miles from the cabin, with no memory of how they got there. Their clothes were torn, their faces gaunt, like they'd aged years in a night. A trucker found them, called the police. They told their story, the cabin, the signal, the creature, but no one believed them. Rangers searched the forest, but the cabin was gone. No red mailbox, no lake, no trace of the SUV. The rental listing had vanished from the site, the owner untraceable. The friends tried to move on, but the hollow left its mark. Ethan sold his scanner, refusing to touch electronics. Mia and Jake broke up, unable to face the memories. Sarah wrote a book, The Hollow Signal, but it was dismissed as fiction. Sometimes at night they hear it, a faint hum, a whisper, hollow, waits. And that's the story of the hollow signal. Was it a ghost? A demon? Or something older? Something that's been waiting in the forest for centuries, using signals to lure its prey. Whatever it was, it changed 4 lives forever. So, next time you're out in the woods and hear a strange noise on the radio, maybe think twice before you listen. Let me know what you think in the comments, and until next time, stay safe out there. You never know what's watching.